We have covered the work of Sláva Václav Jelínek in episode 484. Today we will review his 1932 Dcera, or The Hangman's Daughter. The story begins in the 18th century in a poor cottage, where Ruzhana, who had abandoned her family for the man she loved, is holding her newborn daughter. She actually has no idea what her beloved does for a living, as he would never say so. That night he comes to her and says he got permission from his superiors to leave his post, but will still not say what it is. Then she finally makes him say who he really is. He is Zygmunt Rak, hangman and executioner of the city of Prague. She faints upon hearing this and he is banished from the cottage. Before he can return, Ruzhana had stolen outside, left her daughter in a wealthy-looking carriage standing by the side of the road, then thrown herself into a river and drowned. The girl was found and adopted by the childless Count and Countess DXXI, who took her to their castle and raised her as their own. Years later, Sylvia had grown into a very beautiful woman, beloved by Jindřich, the son of their neighbours. But then a strange man appears, calling himself the Count of Smocking, and says he was the best friend of the now departed Count DXXI. His wife, the Countess, finds an old diary that confirms this, her late husband writing that whatever his friend should desire should be his. And there is Sylvia, a very young, pretty woman, so we can guess where this is going. The Countess forces her daughter to promise to marry the old man, even against her will, out of sheer duty, because her adopted father wrote something down in a book once, and to rebuke Jindřich despite the fact she was already promised to him. Then when Jindřich does not let himself get rebuked, he is kidnapped and disappears. Back in Prague, the executioner Zygmunt Rak is living his lonely existence as an outcast, when he is visited by Gorel, the most dangerous criminal of the century, whom he was hanging the other day when the news snapped and he ran off. Gorel wants to recruit the hangman to join his band of brigands, and hints darkly at the fate of his lost daughter. And sometime later, Master Zygmunt sees an injured man being attacked and dumped in the streets of Prague at night. He takes him into his house and helps save him, and then finds out who he is, the real Count of Smocking. Yes, it was Gorel posing as this man to marry Sylvia while getting him out of the way, for good as far as he assumes. The Count of Smocking is the chief of the secret police, and has been hunting Gorel for many years. Sylvia is taken to Gorel's hideout, an ancient robber castle, full of secret passageways and deadly traps. This is also where Jindřich is held. Gorel locks Sylvia in a room and reveals his true nature to her, and she intends to defend her honor to the death. But before Gorel can come to her, Jindřich escapes and goes around sabotaging things around the castle and annoying the brigands. Soon the real Count of Smocking catches wind of where Sylvia is and follows there. Sylvia, meanwhile, escapes through a hidden passage not even Gorel knows about and meets the Count. He sends her to a trusted friend and sneaks inside the castle, along with Jindřich, to do battle with Gorel. They almost get thrown into a pit of spikes when Gorel tips the floor under them, but they overpower him, take his treasure and his band hostage. Sylvia returns home, but is told by the Countess she is not her real mother, and because she will not tell Sylvia who her real parents were, she assumes she is the daughter of a criminal and runs off, literally a day after she was brought back. She goes to Prague, where the Black Plague is decimating the whole city, with mine shafts filling up with the dead, and the city abandoned by all except the poorest of souls. She then decides to become a nurse for the infected to work off her imaginary inherited guilt. At the same time in Prague, Gorel is to be hung again, but Master Zygmunt faints when the fiend taunts him by threatening his brigands know where his daughter is and will kill her for revenge if he is hung. Gorel runs off again, while Zygmunt is found to be suffering from the plague and winds up being nursed by his own daughter who does not know him. Then, after overworking herself, she faints and is deemed dead. But her body is stolen from the piles of the dead by Gorel, who finds her still alive and takes her back to his abandoned castle. But Master Zygmunt, the Count of Smocking, and Jindřich arrive there as well, and Gorel is thrown to his death in his own pit of spikes, while Sylvia marries Jindřich and accepts her father no matter what he used to be.